Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and we are making our way back through a Crimson Peak volcano, and we found this is a relatively tough area for us to make our way through because, well, let's be honest, maybe not exactly using the most ideal of parties at the moment. So, if you are playing along with us, I would recommend that, well, don't use this team right here. Deliberately going with people like Vern, Solar, and Donovan because we haven't seen much of them recently, but we were seeing that people like Donovan in particular with only fire skills, gonna be hard to deal much damage against basically entirely fire enemies, so I would recommend if you're doing this to perhaps put in someone like Gloria who has access to water spells. But anyways, that's an aside here. For the most part, I want to make sure that we get the chance to explore more of this area because there's definitely lots of chests that we've not yet been able to find. And here we see some fire opals. We've seen plenty of these guys back in the Sun Temple. So this would seem to just be perhaps a higher level version of these guys, but otherwise the same. Again, quite resistant to fire, quite weak to water. Other than that, defense pretty high, so would rather use magic abilities against them than physical attacks. And an Amberistal, which is a phage, much like many of the phages that we've encountered previously. Very high magic defense, however, no physical defense. Basically the opposite of the fire opals, in that these guys are better to use physical attacks against, and likewise, quite resistant to fire and quite weak to water. So, with that in mind, that probably means with Solar, we would want to use a Solar Flare against one of the fire opals. They are the same level, same amount of HP, so let's just take out this one here. Amberistal does go next, opts to attack Vern, but Vern more than capable of absorbing much of that damage there. So Vern, you're in a bit of a tricky place here. I think Green Lightning is probably the best option for you, but with no dark or undead enemies here, maybe not any great options for you. Was the Fire Opal the one that we were supposed to attack with magic? Yes, however, it does have 100% resistance to Earth. So for that reason, yeah, Vern, yeah, maybe you still use physical attacks against these guys? Or more likely, physical attacks against these guys are actually the way to go. Yeah, that's probably what we should have done. Anyways, now we're learning. Similar story with Donovan? I think so. Let's attack this guy here. And he does also start... Ooh, I was not prepared for that. Does also start, notably, with a physical shield, meaning that we'll be dealing half physical damage against it. So that is a tad difficult, but certainly Mardek can finish things off there. And Solar Flare should do the trick here. Solar has been the MVP thus far. Donovan, yes, you may not be able to deal that much damage to these guys, however, being able to remove numbness is still helpful, because I think we'll be finding that that is fairly often that we get that status inflicted on us. Better potion, sure. In fact, it'd be rather nice if, say, we had those more split between different people. But yeah, so Donovan, I think, is going to end up taking up a bit more of a support role in this zone here, in addition to being a bit more of a committed physical attacker rather than spell user. However, there have definitely been times when it seems like spells have been the way to go against the particular enemies we find ourselves fighting. Okay, that looks like a switch. I'm hoping that we can make it all the way over there, because we have seen at least one wall thus far that we've not been able to go through. Okay, this looks like a mix of every type of enemy that we've seen thus far, which is difficult to deal with perhaps, or at least probably means we should take some time to prioritize which one to target first. Solar, again, you're probably the most versatile in that with a Solar Flare you might be able to take out just about anyone. Who is the best person to target with spells? It's not the Amberistal. We know that. It's probably the Lava Blob. That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe even the Fire Opal. I think we go for the Lava Blob, because with 40 defense, it's going to be hard to deal much damage with anyone other than Solar. So we'll take that out there. I believe the Amberistal does go next, and it attacks Vern to take a bit of damage. Whoa, Vern is actually extremely low on MP. Solar is quite low as well. I did not realize that, so that means Vern is incapable of using any special abilities here. However, attacking the Amberistal with a physical attack, I think we established in the previous fight that is likely the way to go here. So let's try that out. And again, yes, there is, of course, that barrier, but I think that was still not bad, and might this be enough room for Donovan to finish off the Amber Whistle? Maybe, but missed, of course. Mardek, you could probably do it. Would we rather have you take out the Magmazard? I think you might be able to deal enough damage here. Possibly even enough damage to the Fire Opal. Yeah, you do have a lot of weakness to light, and 20 defense is a lot, but not enough to outright mitigate all of Mardek's damage, unlike, say, the oozes we were seeing previously with 40 defense. So, some options here. Basically comes down to which one do we feel like is most dangerous. The Amber Crystal does go next, or at least is the first to go of all the enemies here, so I think that maybe is our tiebreaker, although I missed the reaction. Still dealt enough damage, that's good to see. Solar, Vern will still get a chance to go after you before the Magmazard is the one that goes next, so maybe that's reason to target the Magmazard here? I think it might be easier to deal with than the Fire Opal is, but Vern, can you deal damage to it at all? Yeah, with a physical attack, you probably can. 20 defense is still going to be hard to break through, but it has no resistance to air, and your normal attacks actually are air elemental now that we've put on the Aeropolitan sword. So, I think we do that. And the crit certainly means that more than capable of taking it out. Okay. So, bit of a brain exercise, yes, but maybe not as difficult as we might have anticipated. And yes, this is a switch that we can now flip. I feel like I remember there being the red wall. I'm not sure if we've yet seen a yellow wall, so we definitely want to make our way over there, because I think the one that we saw with the red wall was an area that had several chests in it, so to be able to go through there would be very nice. Is there anything blocking the red switch, however? Possibly. Hopefully not. Of course, not going to be that easy, though. We have a Temperance, and it may be unfortunate that these guys, who could be fire, water, earth, or air, on this occasion, this one is fire, and as we've seen previously, we don't have a lot of ways to take out fire enemies. However, Solar, I think, first and foremost, probably do want to focus on the lava blobs. And I'm not sure what the best way is going to be for us to get the MP back for Vern, because, well, Solar can use Spirit Craft, but that does, of course, mean that Solar is not taking a turn to do any offensive spells, and that's tough too. So, might it be worth taking it slow here and deliberately leaving someone up, just so that we can boost some MP with Solar? Of course, we could use items that boost MP, yes, but that's a little less interesting now, isn't it? So I'm thinking the Temperance might be the one to keep up, as long as we can get rid of the Lava Blob here, and I'm not sure Mardek can do that. 40 defense, I'm pretty sure we've established that Mardek cannot break through that. Wouldn't be a bad idea to say heal everyone. I know MP might be something that is on the top of our minds, but Solar was not looking great. Especially if Lava Blob opts to attack everyone here. So, Solar Flare on the Lava Blob, I think. Now, we have some time. Especially if we're not terribly concerned about the Temperance. So, Vern, you can't do much here unless, of course, you opt to use, say, a Mana Berry or an Ether, which we could, of course, just do outside of battle. So what I'm saying is, basically, we wait here, and we probably even wait with Donovan, unless we actually want to use Burn, just to get closer to mastering this, even though it's going to heal the Temperance. Now, we probably still wait. We will take a hit here on Donovan, and Mardek, you could heal again, wouldn't be the end of the world. Or you could deliberately opt to throw on a shield or magic shield in order to make it so that we're not taking as much damage long term. Maybe that's the way to go. Solar is probably still the most vulnerable with the lowest HP. Solar, what I'm saying is use Spirit Craft, and honestly, you probably need to do yourself first because you have such low MP. Otherwise, you're at risk of running out yourself. But there you see, Solar went from, what was it, 8 or so MP up to 39. I don't remember how this carries over at the end of battles, but this will be our little experiment. So, Burn, likewise, can't do anything yet. You are the next target. Donovan, we'll wait on you too. And Temperance does opt to use a magic ability that time, so again, we were kind of taking our best guess with regard to whether it was better to use a physical shield or a magic shield, and of course, trying to guess who best to put it on. I think the answer is probably still Solar. This time we'll go magic shield. So again, just to be clear, you don't need to do this. I'm deliberately making a point of trying to find other ways to boost our MP other than just using MP items. Why, you say? Well, it does save some items that either we might be kind of short on at the moment, or at least save us coins that we would otherwise need to spend in order to repurchase them. But if you find yourself in a pinch, say maybe you didn't even put any MP restoring items in people's inventories, then you can use Spiritcraft to restore MP like this. So I'm going to do it on Vern here. The question is, at the end of the battle, will Vern finish with 22 MP, because that's what he has right now, or when his spirit goes back down to its normal level, because this is only temporary when Solar boosts people's spirit. Does that MP go down along with it? Possibly. So, again, we'll just see exactly how this works out here. We'll pass again, and pass again. Get hit. And Mardek, I suppose, seems like this Temperance is using more magic abilities than it is physical attacks. So we'll focus on the magic shields in that case. So we could continue to Spiritcraft, and I think it is, from here on out, probably still preferable to have Solar boost themselves, because primary spellcaster, it seems, Vern, on occasion, should be able to still get by with just physical attacks. So we'll do one more round of this, just to see what the ultimate effect is. I suppose you could argue that Donovan may not even need a magic shield, what with his very high resistance to fire. So if we Spiritcraft now, do we feel like we want to get Solar or Vern? Let's go Vern this time. Free Spirit, not a ton. But now, I think we will actually attack. And the question is, will Vern finish on 40 MP or less? Will Solar finish on 66 MP or less? I'm hoping the answer is yes, that is how much MP they will carry over. And that does appear to be the case. You saw that their bars actually looked like they filled a little bit at the end of that battle. That is because their maximum MP went down, but their current MP stayed the same. Because again, we temporarily, for the duration of that battle, boosted their MP by boosting their spirit with Solar's Spiritcraft ability. That's what we were doing there. So, we go to our party just to confirm. Yes, 40 MP, 66 MP. So in theory, if you really needed to get MP and you were absolutely desperate, you didn't have any items to do it with, maybe you're nowhere near a save crystal, you could go that route. Of course, you would want to do that against an enemy that you feel like is not particularly powerful, it's not threatening, it's not going to take anyone out. And that was kind of the case there, so that's why I felt like it was worth at least giving it a shot, see if it would work, and it does. So, let's focus, however, now on picking up these chests, and that's a, what? A purple wall that doesn't appear to be blocking anything, or is there actually a door there most of the time? Yeah, I think so. We see the purple there, and there's like a blue dot under it, it seems, and blue is usually the sign of doors. Firestone ring, a ring set with a fire opal, and enchanted by a skilled pyromancer. That sounds like that could be useful. Let's take a look at that. So it has 2 defense, 2 magic defense, which is roughly average at this stage in the game, I would say. Null fire once, and that is a Donovan ability. So we've seen the null of insert element here for many people in the past. Mardek has it for both light and dark. Gloria, I believe, has it for earth and possibly water as well, but getting the ability to do that for fire might be a reason alone to have Donovan here. And like we were saying, he's maybe not the most offensive of characters, but defensively, between removing numbness and now nulling fire, that might be reason enough for him to be here. Other than that, +1 strength, and a little bit of fire resistance too, and resistance to numbness for himself. Add all that together, and I believe he'll be at 90% fire resistance, so for all intents and purposes, he is basically immune to fire damage. Let's make sure that we take a look now at, well, there is the new active skill, yes. We did, of course, have to take off one of his passive abilities. Oh, and... Oh, from the chestplate that he picked up from Meriador, we did also get a defensive reaction, so yes, let's make sure we put that on. I think it was the passive side, yeah, where we no longer will have the ability to throw an antibody So, at least for the time being, we have some RP to spare. Might it be worth it to add strength or agility? I think we're seeing that, generally speaking, Donovan is now going to be a physical attacker in this area, so let's go a little bit on the strength, a little bit on the agility, and split it. Less concerned about the MP here. Also seeing that, okay, there's no direct route over here, but if we go back down, we can hopefully flip this red switch here and maybe even go up to the purple switch there. Lots of switches. So, hard to say exactly what we're going to find in all these areas or when we're going to be able to go through them, but in theory, we should be unlocking many of those doors now. So, combination of Amberistals and Fire Opals here. So again, the Amberistal, not the enemy you want to attack with magic, which probably means the Fire Opal, so we want to target with Solar, assuming that we're going to go with a Solar Flare here. And now that we do have some MP, we can go back to using those skills, of course, at least for a little while longer. Vern also has some MP again. So we didn't go all the way up to maximizing their MP, but if you wanted to, you could make a point of doing that. 180 damage is not bad. Donovan with a little more strength now, in theory, this might be a little more effective, and it is enough to take that guy out. Fire damage against Mardek. Okay, not terrible. Can you deal enough damage to the Fire Opal? Yes, you certainly can. Okay, people are somewhat damaged here. It might be worth giving him a quick heal with Mardek, or in our next battle, making a point of having Mardek take a turn to do a group heal. Mostly worried about Solar. Let's just do that, maybe. We go down here. I think we have several options. You see all those switches to flip. And we can definitely make it to the red one here. It looks like the purple switch might be blocked. I think so. Because we can't make it through here. That is obviously lava. So let's, yeah, unless there's a pathway here, there isn't. It looks like we're going to have to make our way through that door there. Let's flip this one while we're at it. Red switch, like I said, I'm pretty sure is the color that we saw blocking the room that had all the chests in it previously. As for what we'll find here, okay, green is usually the NPC color. We, of course, saw the Hermit previously, but this seems awfully far from where he was before. More charred bones. These guys are undead, so that means that Burn should be particularly effective against them, as should Solar Flares. Let's take out the one with the most HP. Make life a little bit easier on us. So one down. Next one uses Rage Cord, which we've, and both of them do in fact, which we've seen previously on, I believe it was possibly the Mantids in Lifewood. Or no, I think it was either the Fairies or the Pixies. What it does is it gives people the Berserk status effect, meaning that they will deal more damage, yes, however, they will be uncontrollable. We can't stop on their turn and make sure that they are using the exact skill or targeting the exact enemy that we want them to target. So it can be tricky, especially if, say, they did that on Donovan when he still had Soul Strike active, and then he might be attacking people for fire damage and healing them uncontrollably. That would not be great. These guys with their high defense is going to be hard to break through, both with Donovan and I think also with Mardek. And again, we might have wanted to deliberately deal with Mardek there, so it is unfortunate that Solar is enraged, because Solar, of course, would normally be a spellcaster, and when Solar is enraged, that's not going to happen. Vern, fortunately, does still have enough damage, though, to take these guys out here. And more ability to remove numbness, maybe not as necessary now that Donovan does have that ability. Solar has mastered Insomnia. That's good to see. That means that we no longer need to have, I believe it is the Moonstone here, yeah. It was teaching that. Could be worth throwing on some additional agility and defense, or maybe the Fire Pendant for fire resistance. We've seen that, generally speaking, Solar with the low HP is going to be the most vulnerable. So adding some additional magic defense, and mostly fire resistance, I think will be key. As long as they have room to throw on that resistance, and I think it's more than okay to, say, take off water and add fire, or even dark? I don't know. Let's leave dark and fire, of course, for this area. And let's see what else is in this spot, because there is a door over here, and this was, I believe, the area that was leading up to that purple switch that we saw on the other side of the lava here. Yes. So now that we flipped this, we should be able to go through this door. So this one is open. The wall that was blocking the loot is now open. And not sure what the yellow one has unlocked for us, but in theory, I think we've now done most of the switches here. If we look at the top left here, we can see that red is flipped, purple is flipped, yellow is flipped, but there's a bit of a space in between here, which suggests that perhaps there are more colors that we've not yet even seen. Not entirely sure how much to read into that, but we'll just have to take a look at the rest of the area. Okay, here we have a mixture of half charred bones and half magmazards. I think that the magmazards have generally dealt more damage, however, the charred bones have done things like activate Rage Cord, which has made life a little bit complicated for us, so maybe we make a point of taking them out first. Keep it simple. Oh, and I missed that reaction, actually. Okay, so Vern is next. And we now, after having had the charred bones take one turn, have a little while until they go again, so we're maybe not as much at risk of that Rage Cord thing messing things up here. So, maybe we instead start to target the Magmazards again. Thought Vern dealt just enough damage, and he did there, to take these guys out in one hit. That's big. Donovan, I think you basically have to attack the Magmazards because the charred bones have such high defense that you're going to deal almost no damage to them. Oh, except if you miss, you will deal quite literally 0 damage. Mardek, same deal, I think. Slightly lesser extent, but Solar, now you Solar Flare, take out the charred bones. I believe Vern will still be faster than the Magmazard. Yes, he will. So, this should be enough, assuming he doesn't miss. And an interesting thing that is coming to mind now is that Mardek is using his champion sword, which of course he got at the end of Chapter 2. It was the strongest sword in Chapter 2, yes, but we have certainly gotten more swords since then, and Solar's Massive Resist Ether, which is big, because it does mean that that was something that was taking quite a while, and also means we could swap off the turquoise for something else, perhaps even another fire pendant to get 100% fire resistance, even more than that when it comes to magic, because they come with the magic defensive reaction for fire. Sure. I mean, of course it means not going to be able to master other abilities quite as quickly. Say if we were to put on a belt of movement, we could also work on locomotion, which in some ways would be preferable. But if we're just trying to play it safe here and make sure that Solar does not get taken out, then this is probably our best bet. So let's go with that for the time being. Okay. Let's head on down here. Because I thought we saw that there was that NPC, right? Yeah, and 2 chests in here as well. One of them, both of them, down there. And again, it's a door that we don't yet know how to get to. Nor can we make our way over to this NPC just yet. So this area is quite a maze, to tell you the truth. We'll see where this leads us? I don't know. Well, here are the 3 chests in this room that we could not find previously. They're hiding in this corner. Fire Staff, a 2-handed staff with an elemental gem on the head, infused with the powers of fire. So presumably that would be for Gloria. She's not with us at the moment, but as soon as she is, then we'll probably want to pick that up. A fire pendant, well, of course we were just equipping several of those on Solar, but to pick up more might be meaningful as well. And Phoenix Downs to help revive people. Solar does have the ability to use that. However, I think we'll put it on Vern, because Vern does not have natural skills to revive people. So, does that mean we want to put on a fire pendant on additional people? Could throw it on Donovan to replace the Onyx Ring. He's close to mastering Bright Eyes, so maybe we keep this for just the time being, and of course once we do ultimately put on an additional fire pendant, then that would put him above 100% fire resistance, so he'd be healing to many attacks, which again, is not great offensively. There's no offensive bonus to using these fire pendants, but it does make it so that we're much harder to take out, and therefore we can play a little bit more patiently when we're going into those fights and do things like just normal attacks and not have to worry about having somewhat low damage against these guys. For example, these Amberistals, at times I think we found we're not able to take them out in one hit. Magmazards, depending on who it is, sometimes we're able to, sometimes we aren't. I was expecting to be able to take that guy out in one hit. We did not, obviously. And so things like this, getting hit by the flames, would of course deal far less damage were we to have those pendants equipped. Donovan, you could of course null fire on some people. It'd be helpful if you were perhaps a little bit faster to put that on before enemies start attacking rather than after, but that's another way we can boost our defenses. As for right now, I think probably going to be Amberistal duty for you though. Not quite enough to take it out, but it should be enough. After, say, someone else comes in for round 2. Might have wanted to take out the Magmazard just because we knew it was going next, but admittedly, I was not paying close enough attention, and this is the scenario in which you do not want to find yourself. Solar needs MP in order to use Spearcraft. Solar only has 6 MP right now. So Solar does not have enough MP to infinitely boost Solar's own MP. So that means Solar is a bit stuck, and does now very much need to use something like, say, a Mana Berry in order to get that MP back, or just use physical attacks for this fight. That's probably okay, because the Magmazard has relatively low HP and does not have any resistance to Earth. The Amberistal, same story. In fact, we might want to do that because the Amberistal does go next, except I don't think Solar's going to have 250 damage, especially when the Amberistal does still have a physical shield on. So for that reason, let's go for the Magmazard. Does, of course, give Solar the chance to heal a little bit, although Solar's actually on full HP right now. Everyone is targeting Vern, it seems. Vern, you do still have a fair amount of MP here because, of course, we boosted MP previously, and, well, haven't used much since then. So we could, of course, just opt for a normal attack. I think that is still the way to go here. And Donovan, you know what? Say if you were to put, I don't know, an Ether or a Mana Berry on Solar, then that might be kind of helpful right about now. 100 MP for Solar. I don't remember exactly how much MP Solar has total. It would be, yeah, well over 100, so it's not like we're over MPing. So let's do it there. And then Mardek, just attack the Amberistal. Sure, you have enough damage. Okay. Anything of particular note here? The Alchemist Fire is nice to get, yes, for the fire damage potions, but just not terribly applicable here when, of course, everyone's going to be very resistant to that. So more so saving for the future. Okay, and in this spot, yes, let's head back up. And so we know that we can't make it over to this spot over here, which is theoretically where that NPC is. We have now gone up to this side and flipped the purple switch. So that should mean that the purple door is unlocked over here up to this side. So we could go that route. We could go back this way and go to the area that was previously blocked off by the red door, or we could make our way through this blue door here that we've not yet explored. I'm thinking maybe we do that because who knows, there might be more switches for us to flip. Just other things that we haven't explored yet, so let's check it out. Okay, more charred bones. Do we need a solar flare here, or can we be patient? These guys, yeah, magic really is the way to damage them, so I feel like we probably do want to go this route. Let's attack the one with the most HP. It is very effective. Rage Cord actually misses against Donovan. That is fortunate. And there we saw that the Charred Bones tried to attack Solar with a physical, albeit fire, attack, and therefore was guaranteed to deal 0 damage because we loaded up on those fire pendants, and therefore Solar has 100% fire resistance. So, paid off there. Vern, you could use Disrupt Undead, and you know, let's not play games here. Let's do that. I was thinking for a second, maybe Green Lightning, just see how much damage it's worth. No. Let's just take this guy out, because we know that Donovan is going to find it a little bit tricky to do that, especially if we miss the reaction. And Mardek, same story. Some damage, yes, but definitely not enough. Solar, it is mostly up to you. Okay. And not like that's a particularly valuable crafting item to us, but it's something. And then the answer as to where we wanted to go next was up here. What will we find? We will find there's actually another chest, which has balloon juice for more numbness removal. And let's put that on Vern, because for the most part, he's going to be one of our primary physical attackers, and he can't remove it himself. Okay, so 2 more chests in this area. This was one of those areas with 10 chests, so sure, we'll take these. Gold ore, as I've said many times before, very valuable, limited in nature. Let's take it. And purple conch is also, I believe, another crafting item that is somewhat rare in nature. Maybe not quite as much as the gold ore, but let's take it. And as for how exactly we get over to this spot, oh my goodness, look at how many chests that is. Is that the remaining 8 in this spot here? I think that is the location where previously we had the red wall blocking it, and it appears, based on just that, we have not found any blue doors down here, and there are no connections to that left side, that we've not yet found the way into that area there. But I'm thinking that that is probably the next way we want to make our way over to, because, I mean, are you seeing how many chests there are? So, with that in mind, I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here, and next time we'll see if we can wind our way around and find out how exactly do you get over there? But you know, if that loot is hard to get, it's gotta be good.